Right, I want to talk to you about what happens next with this acrylic. So you've cut it with a what?
Coping saw.
Cut it with a coping saw. And there are lots of these sharp little cuts left. And it isn't the most perfect thing in the world at the moment, and that's normal and that's okay. If it was wood, we would be sanding it next. And we'd be sanding it with what grade paper? Coarse, which is 80. Good stuff. And that is material removing. You are removing material, right? But the way to do that on this acrylic is with a file. And I've got a range of tools here. Now files can be coarse cut, like that one. That's got quite big teeth on it, right? And files can be fine cut, like this one here. Okay, this is not a file. This is a rasp. It's a totally different job, and you're not going to use it. Okay, so know the difference between a file and a rasp. This one looks a bit more like a cheese grater. This one's just got slotted teeth cut into it. Make sense? Okay. When we are filing acrylic, as a material has a property, and it is brittle. What does brittle mean? I'm going to go with the hand up.
Like quite thin.
Not necessarily thin.
It breaks really easily.
It breaks easily. Any other?
Fragile.
It's kind of fragile. So what it is if you apply force to it, it will snap rather than bend. Okay, it doesn't bend, it just breaks. You need to move over there a little bit. All right, and because of that, it is essential, not just important, crucial. Where's my apron getter? Can I have one that opens, please? It is crucial that you work with it low down in the vise, because if it's up here, when you're filing, you may be applying force over there like that. It's going to snap. It is going to snap, so you've got to have it low down in the vise. Also, if you have it low down in the vise, it's not as loud for everybody else. Thank you, Tommy. So now that I'm set up for practical work with an apron, I'm going to show you the different methods of filing, right? You can do cross filing, where you go across the project, or you can do draw filing, where you draw the file along the project. And I'm going to show you both of those. That and the tool well. All right. Handle in hand, I'm right-handed, so I've got it in my right hand. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of pressure down on the blade like that, and I'm going to go across the project here. It's a little bit squeaky, so I'm going to go across the project there. Get it properly in the vise because it's moving. And I'm going in a diagonal. Okay, I'm not just going across like that, and I'm not just going along like that. I'm doing a little bit of both. See that? It makes a really good noise. Okay, draw filing. I'm going to put the file, and I might actually need to lift it up just a little bit for this to allow room for my thumbs, but not too much. I'm going to put my thumbs either side, or my weight either side of where the work is, and I'm going to draw the file along the work. There's two potential hazards with this, and number one is that if your acrylic is very sharp and you slip off your file, or you have your finger underneath as you do it, you're going to run your finger along the edge of that. Okay? And if that was metal and you were filing metal, and you drew, instead of the file, you drew your finger along it, that's going to cut. Alright, so please be aware that you want your hands up on top, and you're going to draw that towards yourself like that. It's quite a good technique if you've got a flat piece of work. Now, is this one as squeaky? No. This one's not as squeaky. Alright, it's also not as effective, it takes a lot longer. And you'll notice if you had a shape like that, you wouldn't necessarily be able to draw a file in there, okay? Because sometimes you're going to have to cross file. Now, when I filed across here, was I going backwards and forwards like that?
No.
You didn't see me do that, did you? So what I'm trying to do is go in fairly long strokes. I'm trying to use a lot of these teeth in one stroke, all right? And I can even be super clever. can pick myself a tool that already has a shape in it. That one's a triangle, that one's a round one. Alright, and if I've got a little round shape in there, that one's not quite the size that I was hoping that it was. But if I wanted to make that a round shape in there, I can use a shaped file to help shape the work. Okay, if I've got something very, very tiny, this is it. I might choose to use one of these, and this is a set of needle files. They're very, very small. They come in flat ones, square ones, triangle ones, round ones, and half round ones. Okay, and the half round one is this sort of shape like that. After you've finished filing, how are you going to know when you're done? What are we going to look for? How are you going to know when it's done? Is my one done that I did along there?
No.
How do you know?
Because there's still marks in it.
Right, perfect sentence. There are still saw marks in it. Filing is about getting the saw marks out.